The Reformation is often depicted as a dramatic resurrection of the church, but the Reformers saw it differently. They believed God always kept his church alive, even during its darkest times. Rather than a resurrection, they viewed their work as a reformation, a process of giving the church a much-needed makeover rather than reviving it from death. Martin Luther, for example, insisted that the true church had never really died, even defending the Church of Rome despite its flaws. John Calvin agreed, asserting that as long as Christ reigned, the church would always survive. Theologians like Francis Turretin later argued that even during the papacy, God preserved a remnant of faithful believers. This belief distinguished the magisterial Reformation from the more radical Anabaptists, who wanted to start anew. The Reformers were dedicated to keeping the faith alive, no matter how grim things seemed. Another common misconception is that all Protestants are the same. This is far from true. Protestantism is a diverse collection of denominations, each with its unique beliefs and practices. Baptists, for example, emphasize believers' baptism and local church autonomy, while Presbyterians value structured governance and practice infant baptism. Lutherans follow Martin Luther's teachings on justification by faith alone, and Methodists, inspired by John Wesley, focus on personal holiness and social justice. Anglicans blend Protestant and Catholic elements with a liturgical flair. These differences extend to key doctrines like the Eucharist, salvation, and scriptural interpretation, showing that Protestantism is a rich tapestry of beliefs rather than a monolithic entity. The Reformation wasn't a rejection of the past, but rather an effort to correct what the Reformers saw as errors in the Church's practices and doctrines. While they rejected practices like the sale of indulgences, they retained many core Christian beliefs, such as the Trinity, the divinity of Christ, and the authority of Scripture. Protestant worship evolved from existing Christian liturgies, maintaining some traditional elements while reinterpreting others. The Reformation was a call to return to what the Reformers believed were the essential truths of the Christian faith, not a total break from the Church's historical roots. The idea that the Reformation split a previously unified Church is also misleading. The Church had already experienced significant divisions, most notably the split between the Eastern and Western branches in 1054. By the time of the Reformation, the Roman Catholic Church was far from monolithic, with various internal disputes and tensions. While the Reformation did lead to the creation of many Protestant denominations, it didn't cause the initial fractures in the Church. Rather, it was a continuation of an already fragmented Christian landscape. It's also a myth that Protestants believe they are the only true Christians. While some Protestant groups may have an exclusive attitude, many others engage in ecumenical dialogue and cooperation. For example, the United Methodists and Evangelical Lutherans actively participate in interdenominational discussions, and joint worship services between Protestants, Catholics, and Orthodox Christians are common. The spirit of mutual respect and collaboration has grown, especially since the Second Vatican Council, showing that many Protestants recognize the value of unity within the broader Christian community. Lastly, the notion that Protestantism lacks formal structure is inaccurate. Protestant churches vary widely in their organizational styles, from the congregational polity of Baptists, where each church is independent, to the hierarchical structure of the Anglican Communion, with bishops and archbishops overseeing church affairs.